I was listening to a lot of dubstep too, and like Tiesto's
really?
Club Life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Electro House. His manager hit me up because his manager used to work with Sirasounds, who I worked with a few years ago, and he kind of remembered me. Having a falling out with your religion isn't like a positive thing, it's kind of, you know, depressing. So I moved down here when I was really sad and by myself.
Hi, so I'm here with Sirasounds. This is Lauren of Sidewalk Talk. Where were you born, actually?
In Stockton, Northern California.
Oh, so were your parents like born there as well?
My dad was. My mom was born in Minnesota. She lived in Minnesota, Hawaii, Washington, all these different places.
Oh, what do they do?
My dad, he works from home. He works on his laptop. He does a variety of different things. My mom
Like what?
Honestly, it's a bunch of different things. Every time I talk to him, he's doing something different. His whole thing is just building multiple streams of income online to kind of be really self-sustained.
Yeah.
He does a good job of it. He actually helped me when I moved down here.
Oh, damn nice.
He kind of brought me down here, and we rented a car and like drove around and looked at spots. And then when I completely forgot about a deposit, he like put the money down for me and kind of got things moving. Really cool.
And your mom?
She used to work in like plastic surgery centers and stuff like that. And now she like has her own private business where she just takes care of patients like after surgery. After plastic surgery or just? I mean, I think it's just any kind of surgery, just like post-operation, like, I don't know, when these people don't have people that they live with and they need to hire someone to take care of them and like knows how to handle shit if something happens. Yeah.
Where do you think you got your creative side from then?
From me, I don't know. I don't really get it from anywhere.
Yeah. Were you always like a creative kid growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there's not like a ton to do in my hometown. It's not like a really crazy town. So I would just kind of keep busy with like little fun creative projects that, you know. Yeah. I guess I thought were fun, yeah.
What kind of projects were they?
Just like grabbing like, do you remember the flip cameras? It was like what came before GoPro.
What did it look like? Maybe I would if I...
It's like a little camera, just, I don't know, it's like a little handheld camera.
Yeah.
And I used to grab those and like make just these ridiculous little skate videos and, you know, just stuff like that. And then I would learn how to like torrent video editing software. And then I'd, you know, YouTube how to do things. The same way anyone learns anything.
Were your friends into that as well, or were you just kind of finding it on your own?
I was doing it by myself. There wasn't really anyone else doing it.
Yeah. What were your favorite subjects back in school? Did you like school?
I like doing math a lot. But besides that, I'm not really a big school guy.
That's so random. I feel like math is like pretty academic intense.
No, it is, and it's really weird. I just used to be good at math, and I used to enjoy it. I used to enjoy like listening to music and doing math homework. It was very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of music were you listening back in the day?
A lot of like LA beat scene stuff, like Flying Lotus, all the way back to like Carmack's.
Like all the selection.
Stuff. Yeah, that was when I really started like kind of getting into the LA scene, which is around like when I moved down here. Oh,
so it's pretty recent.
I only moved down here like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. How about like way back?
Ago. Way back? Like what way back?
Like high school, mid-teens.
I was listening to like the XX and Gold Panda and all these little indie bands. Yeah. A little bit of everything. I was listening to a lot of dubstep too and like Tiesto's Club Life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Electro House.
Yeah.
Back in my senior year of high school. Yeah.
When you were in school, do you know what you want to do for a career back then?
Not at all.
You went to college, so you must do something.
Well, that's why I left college, because I was working my ass off to, you know, keep good grades, but I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Where did you go to school?
Just the local community college. It was called Delta.
And what, did you have a major, or are you still undecided?
It was still like the first year and a half or so I was still just doing general courses for like a GED or something like that. I don't even remember. I was just kind of knocking out general stuff that I would need later when I figured it out. Yeah. But then I just kind of got sick of it partway through. Like, I was becoming really unhappy and feeling really like stagnant in my hometown. Because like it was all the same group of people I had always like hung out with and partied with in high school. It was just the same thing, and I was just kind of over it. So I decided I would move down here and just go to college. That way I could at least explore a new city simultaneously and, you know, start to see the world, not just sit in my hometown.
Whoa. And did your parents kind of want you to get a degree? Or like you wouldn't even go at all if they didn't edge you on?
They just want me to kind of be successful in whatever I choose to be in. They think a degree might be safer, but I think they're starting to realize that that's not even as true anymore.
So what was the turning point that made you drop out? Did you get like a big photography break or a change in mindset?
Definitely change in mindset. I was a very, very religious person. Not very, but I was a pretty religious person when I was a kid. I used to go on like mission trips and go to summer camp and all this fun stuff.
Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I kind of fell out with that right after I left high school. And
what was the reason why you like fell out of it?
I started to realize a bunch of things that like just about myself and why it made sense that I would kind of believe in something like that. And once I really started to question it and think about it logically, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And yeah, just kind of just sum it up very quickly. But then I kind of just decided that, you know, we have one life to live, and I don't want to, you know, try and do something that's safe. I wanted to, at the very least, move down to LA and see what would happen as far as anything in music, because that was really the only thing that I was kind of passionate about. So I wanted to, at the very least, move down here and continue college and maybe see if anything happened.
What did your parents think of the whole thing, like with religion and like breaking away from all that?
They don't agree, but I mean, we respect each other about it, and we discuss it a lot, even if we don't see eye to eye. My parents have always been really supportive.
After that, like, how were you even able to like establish yourself at the beginning when you moved here?
Well, I started going to a lot of Brownies shows.
This was like when they first started. How long has Brownies been around actually?
Well, they've been around for a while. They were throwing shows. I mean, man, you should get Kush on here. That'd be crazy.
I want to.
That'd be funny.
I really want to.
They've been around for a while. I started coming to their shows at Lock and Key, which is, I think, like the halfway between where they started and where they are now. So, like, roughly. And that was back when they were booking, like, Graves and Diversa and, like, I can't even remember who else, but they were all booking at the Lock and Key. It was, every event was at the Lock and Key for the most part. But I started to go to those events, and, you know, like I said, I used to kind of mess around with the video camera in high school. Nothing serious or anything.
Yeah.
But I just kind of asked them if I could come and shoot a video for them. And they said yeah, and then I made one, and it was pretty terrible, but, you know, it was okay for the time.
Yeah. And
so I just asked them the next week if I could come back, and then the next week I asked them, and the next week I asked them.
Were you their first, like, video or no, they had a photographer, but were you the
Quinn.
First? Yeah, Quinn.
Quasar has been their photographer forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But you were the first, like, person to approach for video.
As far as I know, I haven't really seen any other video for them.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I just kind of kept hitting them up to come back for like a good year or so. And then I kind of just became like the in-house guy, I guess.
Yeah. Do you ever get bored actually of shooting? It's kind of like the same, or like recording, or like, I mean, editing. It's kind of like the same thing again and again.
It can get a little repetitive, but I've actually gotten pretty fast, so it's not like I have to spend too much time on it. Like, remember the first video took me like 4 days to edit. It took me like a day to sort the footage. Yeah. And it took me like 3 days to really get the edit down. But now I normally sort footage in like 20 minutes and edit in an hour. Oh. So it's just a lot.
Actually, yeah, I guess it's same for this.
You what?
Same for these.
Yeah, exactly. You do it so many times that, you know, it becomes second nature.
Yeah. What was the first camera that you shot on? Or video camera?
Rebel T2i. That's like the basic DSLR everybody
I think that's what I had.
Well, now a Canon 6D, which still is like the cheapest, lightest DSLR you can get.
Yeah, that one's good. I tried it. I have like the 5D Mark II, and it's so heavy. It's 7 years old.
Yes,
but it's still nice, the pictures, so.
Yeah.
And then what lens do you use?
Usually either a Rokinon 24 or a Canon 24.
Oh, why the 24s?
I just like how it looks.
It's
That's
more
just
like
kind of what I stuck with. I didn't really like know much about lenses for a while, but that's just the one that looked best, so
yeah.
I just stuck with it, yeah.
And then what were your like early inspirations for the videos you made?
There's this guy, I think his name was John Zombie, John Zombie. He used to do recap videos for like Loudpack when they were first getting started. And,
I want to look that up. I was just looking at recap videos.
What's it called? Bass Rush or something like that? Drop Rush or something like that? There's like these dubstep parties that used to happen out in the Bay Area. And now I go back and look at them and they're trash. And I used to think they were so cool.
Yeah. And how about like, I guess everything you taught yourself, right? Like the editing, color correction.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
What were you using early on to teach yourself?
Just YouTube, literally.
Yeah,
100%
same.
YouTube.
Are you constantly like looking up new techniques, or like how do you think your videos have changed since the early ones you put out?
I haven't been looking at as much new techniques before, but lately I'm finding that I need to because I want to keep things progressing. Just kind of overall learning as you kind of go, you kind of pick up little tiny tips and tricks that kind of all play into it. Like, my big thing is editing on time with the music, so when I edit, I'll kind of zoom in down to the transients of like the kick and the snare, and I'll make sure the clip starts exactly when like the crack of the snare hits. Yeah. And that's kind of been like the carrying thing, but then there'll be little changes throughout, like how I might, I don't know, do like a cool motion shot in an intro, or I don't know, just small things. It's hard to really describe because I kind of learn it by feel just as I do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And by doing all the Brownies stuff, did it give you like a lot of exposure since the beginning?
Yeah. Well, within our little community, definitely. Yeah, I would say. Brownies kind of paved the way for me to work with a lot of other people.
Yeah. And how did you meet like 88rising and everyone?
I got familiar with them through touring with Rich.
How did
on
that
his
come
US
about?
tour. His manager hit me up because his manager used to work with Sirasounds, who I worked with a few years ago, and he kind of remembered me. And then they brought me out for 5 days on the first part of the tour, and that was supposed to be it. But it ended up going really well. Everyone had a good time. Got along with everybody, and it was just a lot of fun. So they brought me out again on the last part of the tour, and then they asked me to come to Asia.
Wait, so are you doing also videos and pictures with them, or just videos?
A little bit of both. I was just supposed to do video, but I've just been taking photos as well along the way. Yeah. Yeah. Taking photos has been a lot of fun because I don't really like know what I'm doing, so. Yeah. You know.
But you haven't always been like a photographer, right? Was it just kind of like a more recent thing that you realized you had to adapt to? Yeah,
well, I was posting videos on Instagram like once a week, and I didn't want to have to like wait that long to post, so I started taking disposables just kind of for fun. And
so none of them are digital pictures, they're all disposable that you post?
Recently, like the past week or two, since I've been touring, I've been doing DSLR, but like 90% of the photos are all disposables.
What is it like going on tour? I mean, you went from just like shooting stuff like with Brownies to like full on like being in the tour videographer. What is that change like?
Well, the living is obviously completely different. Living on a bus, you live in like a bed that's like this wide, and it's like that tall, so it's like a little coffin.
Coffin?
It is, no, like, yeah, I've heard the bus driver was telling us stories about people who wake up and forget, like, you know, where they are.
That must be so creepy.
Because you have like a curtain on the side, and if you shut the curtain, then it's literally like you're in a coffin. And it's really hard to sleep in until you're 3 nights in with no sleep, and then you just sleep because you have to. You don't even have a choice, like your body's so tired. And then after you get over that little hump, it's easy because you're just tired all the time. Yeah. So it's like terrible, but it works.
And actually his fan base is pretty crazy, right?
How do you mean?
I don't know. I did one video with Rich Chigga, and his Indonesian fans are not stoppable. Oh. I don't know. Maybe it's different here in the US.
I was going to say, maybe because you were in Asia, it was a little bit different. In the US, they're a little bit more tame, and we also were like always at venues, so there was always security when I was with him. So it was pretty easy.
Yeah. Did you listen to his music a lot before?
I was aware of it, and when Glow Like That dropped, I liked that one a lot.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like a super fan. I've definitely heard it more now that I've been with him. And I've heard a lot of his new stuff, and it's amazing.
Like unreleased stuff.
Yeah, he's got some stuff that he was showing me on his phone that sounds ridiculous. And he's producing like a lot of his beats now, which is really cool because he has this really unique way that he writes his melodies with his vocal line, and like it's just different. It's cool.
Do you think you want to branch off and to do more and more like tour stuff? Yeah,
definitely. I have a tour coming up next year. I don't know if I could say with who, but it's a 6-week U.S. tour with one of my all-time favorites. I'm really excited.
How would you say you've grown as a person since the early beginning?
Since the early beginning, I would say I'm a lot more patient now. In the beginning, when you kind of move, the thing is I moved by myself, and you know, obviously having a falling out with your religion isn't like a positive thing. It's kind of, you know, depressing. So I moved down here when I was really sad and by myself, and I don't know. So it kind of put a lot of pressure on me to kind of figure something out, music-wise, and I didn't want to have moved down here away from all my friends and family for no reason. So I was a bit hard on myself in that respect. But I think over time, I've kind of learned that these things take a while to develop. Like even now that I'm doing things, like I'm still impatient in the sense that I want to be more developed, I want to be making more money, I want to have better equipment, you know, I want to have more security in it. But again, those things are just going to take more time, and you know, I'm moving in the right direction, so I just got to be patient.
Where do you kind of see yourself the next 5 years, or like what would you be like, this is like, wow, I made it?
I don't know, that's something I've actually been thinking a lot about lately. Because as fun as it is touring, I don't want to be going from tour to tour when I'm 35 years old, you know what I mean? But I'm not sure. That's something I'm still figuring out. Yeah, this past 2 weeks I've been thinking a lot about that.
Have you ever considered doing music videos and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing I've been exploring. I've been trying to get on a couple music video sets, but that's kind of one of those things where I'm just waiting for the timing to be right. Yeah, I have a few friends. Well, I have a lot of friends whose music I really like and I'd like to make music videos for, and they'd be down, but it takes a lot of knowledge and time and preparation, and like I've never worked with an actor before. You know, things like that.
Do you see what you're trying to do going more into like, you want to stay more in the electronic scene, or do you want to go into like other?
I want to do a little bit of everything. Currently, I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm working with a lot of people that I like in rap and electronic, which would be the best, as if I could just kind of work with my favorite rappers, my favorite DJs, etc., etc. You know, doing a recap for like Rich Chigga is very different from doing one for like, you know, Mr. Carmack. And like, let's say I go on tour with like Flying Lotus and do a video for him, like that would be completely different than those two. Like, and, you know, they would kind of require different kinds of cinematography, different kinds of editing.
Actually, how do you think of that? Like, you see how do you even think that you would need like different types of editing styles, or what about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of figure it out as you go. That's kind of the interesting thing about it. And like I said, like when I say I want people to focus on like my viewing of things, like everything kind of plays into these kind of videos. You're kind of like communicating to the fans how you see the events. Like I see Brownies as these like super lit, extra crazy things, so like that's gonna kind of reflect it in the way that I shoot it, versus like if I shoot Flying Lotus, I'm gonna shoot it as a much more like intimate, more maybe more immersive kind of thing. Maybe shooting with a lot more narrow lenses versus Brownies is a lot wider lenses, a lot wider shots.
How about for Rich Chigga?
He's a mix of both, because, you know, he's very versatile. He has the turn-up songs, but then he also has the more personal songs. So I've kind of been doing a little bit of both with him. It's different with him because I haven't done a lot of editing. 88rising hired me to just shoot.
Oh, so you just send him the raw?
Exactly.
The raw videos.
He's posted.
Go ahead. Do you like editing your own? Like, do you prefer that?
I'd prefer that. But if I were to give it to someone, 88rising would be the people, because their editing is
they're
ridiculous.
so good.
Like, everything they do is top notch. Someone told me they have 8 editing bays at their headquarters. 8 different little offices just for editing.
What? Yeah, they're way bigger than I thought. I mean, I guess they've just expanded so much. Crazy.
Yeah, this last year they've been like pouring their resources into like all their content, and looks like it's been doing well. Their fan base has been growing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think your work stands out from other videographers?
I think I have a little bit of my own style that I do with kind of like the motion shots, and just kind of like when you figure things out on your own, it's hard to kind of like mimic someone, you know what I mean? If someone didn't teach it to you and you figured it out on your own, then it's pretty hard to look like someone else.
Yeah.
Versus if you're being taught a certain way to do it, then that's how you're going to do it. I think it's simply because like all of my kind of growth spots came out of necessity. Like I took disposables because I needed something to post to Instagram every day, so it kind of forced me to start doing that, and I just kind of had to figure out a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Like when I started when I shoot, I use this big stabilizer thing, and I'd never really used it until one day I had to for that sticky sound job. I didn't really have a choice, so I had to go and learn to use it like 3 hours.
So when you were shooting early, Brownies didn't have a stabilizer?
No.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like partway through. That sticky sound job I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was like the first time I kind of picked it up and learned how to use it right before I head over there, and that kind of forced me to, start developing that. So I started bringing it to all the shows.
Yeah. Oh, so you still do it? You have to do it now for every show.
I don't have to, but
Yeah.
I like to. I like the look of it, and it kind of works with the image we built with Brownies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
My work, definitely. That's kind of the whole reason why. Not the whole reason, but a big part of the reason why I'm not like so much about myself on my page, because I want people to focus on my photography and, what I see in that, or like my videography, and kind of see what I see in that versus, just taking photos of myself. You know what I mean?
I love that. Thanks so much.
Yeah.